Hey, Classic Joey Mac here. Um, Fantasy football season is approaching quickly, and so I thought it would be kind of cool to do a like a lot of segments, maybe leading up to the lead up to the football season, maybe some fantasy football tips. I'm not gonna brag or anything, but not bad. I've got pretty decent stats to go on myself. Um, in the last 6 years, I've had six top three finishes in my leagues that I do. I play Yahoo for the most part. I played ESPN before. I prefer Yahoo for anything as far as fantasy sports go. But my my strategy has been very simple for a number of years. Last year, I ended up winning in our league. Ended up winning the championship, and and I can safely say that my strategy's always pretty much been the same as far as how I draft, how I pick things off waivers and stuff like that. I always go for the big running game. And that sounds so basic, when I say that, and I'm sitting here trying to talk strategy. But I can't tell you how many times people go for just quarterbacks or put everything into defense or something stupid like that. Um, Most people know that running backs are a good source of touchdowns and yards and so on. My strategy has always been a decent quarterback. They don't have to be the all star, but a decent quarterback. There's really not a whole lot of difference as far as fantasy points go in maybe the 10th ranked quarterback and let's say the 3rd ranked quarterback. There really isn't that much of a difference unless you can get your hands on one of the top two. It's probably not worth your while drafting one of the top quarterbacks. So my advice would be in the first round or two, go big on your running backs if possible. Unless there's a steal, I'd go big on your running backs. They're a good source of production, and there's not that many great running backs. Whereas quarterbacks, there's a dime a dozen who can get you enough points for it to count. I would say wide receivers. If you can get yourself a stud wide receiver in the draft, like second round or third round, you see like a Moss or something like that, or Calvin Johnson, go for it. Otherwise, don't even waste your time. Don't waste your time because you can get a Dwayne Bowe later down, the draft. If you can just get yourself two or three, decent wide receivers and then concentrate on the other positions, you're probably better off. It's kind of funny that 2 years ago when I had Tom Brady and Randy Moss on the same team, I mean it was a juggernaut as far as fantasy points go. I ended up getting to the championship game and losing. Whereas last year I went more back to my strategy. I had like Eli Manning, Dwayne Bowe, but I had Portis and all these great running backs all over the place, and I ended up winning. I also tell people to look at your tight ends. If you can get a stud tight end, obviously I would go with that. Tony Gonzalez is probably going to be huge this year. And this all sounds so basic, but you'd be surprised how people draft and what their strategies are. Some people go right quarterback, wide receiver. I tend to go running backs, great running backs, decent quarterback, average wide receivers. If I can get a stud, I'll have that little slideshow going for you guys. That way, you got some cheerleaders in the background. But yeah, I would suggest look at your special teams as well. You'd be surprised that good kicking, is always helpful. I always told people like if I can get a really good defense or a really good kicker, those points are probably going to make up for me wasting my time, drafting a quarterback, early anyway, or a stud, or not even a stud, it's like an overrated wide receiver in the draft later on. Why waste those picks? So make sure you evaluate correctly. Don't always go for the big names. And it's very basic. I'm not going to spill the beans on super secret strategies or anything like that, but I've seen enough people that get so overwhelmed with all these big names that you'd be pretty surprised how people could care less about backup quarterbacks or backup kickers or anything like that. I'm not by any means some kind of fantasy guru. I do have a nice track record with fantasy football, and I'm a baseball guy. It just so happens that my strategy for football just seems like it works, and I'm sure that everyone has their own secret kind of strategies, but mine has always been power running game, and then concentrate on your specialties. Don't waste your time going for the big name, QBs. So that's just me. If you have any questions, email me at classicjm85. See ya.